So hi Anushree, first of all, congratulations on your selection into IIM Ahmedabad, and then thank you for taking out the time. So how are you feeling after getting selected into IIM Ahmedabad?
First of all, thanks, Ajay, for giving me this opportunity to have a conversation with you. And I hope this reach out to everybody out there. It feels great. Yeah, I'm very overwhelmed on this selection. I feel humbled also because a lot of people blessed me and have worked with me together. It's a teamwork. All my mentors, seniors. So it feels great to see the efforts gaining fruits now.
Anushree, take us through your journey right from your childhood. Where have you grown up, and all through your journey, and how you ended up trying to do an MBA from IIMs.
Yeah. So I was born and brought up in Thane. It's a city in Maharashtra. I've been born up with a upper middle class family. My father is a practicing chartered accountant, and my mother is a housewife. My sister is now a doctor and is studying general surgery in Karnataka. So we were inherently brought up to value education a lot. Being brought up in a South Indian family, I think that's very mandatory. And so I had good academic records since 10th and 12th, both about 90 percentage, which in fact helps now for an MBA admission. I My first career choice was of course chartered accountancy because I had seen what my father had been doing and I liked accounts and maths as subjects. So I took up chartered accountancy alongside my graduation. I did my graduation from R.A. Podar College of Commerce in Mumbai itself. And in college, I took part in a lot of extracurricular activities, enjoyed it to every bit. I did my articleship in a mid-sized firm in Mumbai. After CA, unfortunately, I did not clear my CA exams in the first attempt, which looked like a roadblock because whenever I looked at people from IIM Ahmedabad or the top B schools in the country, they were all first attempt clear or maybe rankers also at CA final exams. So that was a phase that I questioned myself, but luckily I came out of it and I cleared my CA exams in November 2018. Immediately I took up a job in a corporate through ICI campus placements in Blue Star Limited. I had been working for the last 1 year, and sometime after CA and during the corporate job I realized that MBA is what I wanted to do ahead, because that would give a boost to my corporate journey ahead. So I took up my first CAT attempt in November 2019. I secured a 98.2 percentile. Luckily, I had a good profile, and CAs do also get a certain advantage in the top B schools. So I got a call from the top B schools, and now I'll be happy and very lucky to enter IIM Ahmedabad soon.
Great, nice to hear that, Anushree. So, Anushree, when did you start preparing for CAT? Which was the month you seriously started looking that this year I should be giving CAT a serious attempt? So, when did it start and how did your preparation journey go?
Yeah, so my results of CA exams were out in January 2019. And I took up my job in March 2019. Immediately after I took up a job, I decided to take CAT for the first time in the same year. So April 2019 was the time when I started with my CAT preparation. I joined the tutorials in my city. But of course, they were weekend classes because weekdays were spent in office. So that is how I began with my preparation, and then preparation intensified as June July approached. I intensified the preparation by taking a lot of mock tests and revision classes and stuff like that.
Okay, so honestly, after the CAT results were out, I think most of our CAT results would be out during the first week of January, and you'd hardly be having any time between your CAT results and your your interviews, personal interviews and
True.
WATs.
Hmm.
So, how was it? Was it difficult for you, or you felt that the time was enough to prepare for the interviews?
Okay, so what happens is after CAT happens in November 2019, the answer sheets are out by the first week of December, which is an advantage because we understand our raw score. Of course,
Correct.
we don't understand the relative percentile, which is extremely important, but we understand the raw score. And by past records, you can compare that whether you will be getting a 95 plus percentile. So I was quite sure by December first week that it will be around 95 plus percentile. So I started preparing not very rigorously, but basic current affairs, general knowledge, or questions about my entire journey, or HR questions which are usually asked in an interview, like what you want to do ahead in life. So I just started thinking over it, tried to build upon my answers for such questions, like what I have done in my life up till now and what I would like to do in the years to come. And little bit of general knowledge reading, newspapers, a lot of YouTube videos, all that was on. After January, of course, once the CAT results were out, there was about 20 days to prepare for the main interviews. So that time I started taking it very seriously. I used to make sure that I read everything that's in the newspaper, because that's important. You can't afford to not know. Plus, whatever you have done in your life up till now, that's also very important, that you should know that which competitions you participated in, which like I had done a few college festivals in my college, so whether that college festival had an impact on people. So you need to do a little bit of research on yourself as well, and about what things are going on in the surrounding. So that everything intensified in the month of January. But yeah, if you are able to prepare right from the beginning, like some people I know also start preparing for interviews right from CAT preparation, that is June, July, then it's wonderful. But I did not get that opportunity because of job and CAT preparation. So I started after November, but I think it's enough time to prepare. There isn't much a difficulty to prepare for interviews.
So Anushri, you were simultaneously preparing for CAT, but then you were also doing your job. So how did you manage both of them? Because it could be very hectic because you did not start your preparation too early. You just started in April 2019. So how was it for you?
I think managing a CAT preparation along with work is difficult. So after thinking and after cribbing a lot about it, I just thought, let's not try to manage. Let's try to ignore office work after 9 to 6. So my basic principle was to cut out of office at 6 p.m. Try to get it out of your mental state also, because if you carry your burden of work to home, you will not be able to study. And of course you have to sacrifice on a little of office parties and office casual meetings. So all that I had to do, but I think that itself made me concentrate on and focus more. So in two ways actually, because having a productive day at work also increased my productivity in studies, because I used to be mentally fresh that I have done something productive in office today, so I can come back home and very have a very good productive study time, at least 2 hours 3 hours on a weekday basis. And on weekends I used to put extra efforts, because I had friends who were not working, who had quit jobs, and who had just graduated, and so they did not have work. And so that guilt that maybe somebody else is putting a lot more effort than what you are, so you need to put a lot more on weekends at least. So I think I did that, and a little bit of discipline and sincerity of course is important. So weekdays I remember I used to wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning, study from 4 to 7, then leave for office, come back early as I can, because I reached office pretty early. I reached office by 8:39. I returned home by 7. So I had to travel for 4 hours to my office. So 2 hours going and 2 hours coming. So travel time also, I found out various ways to invest in my travel time by reading books, by reading comprehension passages, or practicing mental maths, or solving logical reasoning sums. So all these things I used to do in traveling time. And after coming back home, I used to not spend a lot of time studying, because I used to be tired. I used to finish about 1 or 2 hours of revision, or solve some sectional test, and then go to sleep.
So I think that was pretty inspiring to hear, Anushri, because I think one important point that you brought out over here was you're trying to build in momentum into your days. Like how you do anything is how you do everything, they say. So you're trying to build in that momentum. You're being productive at work. As a result, it is reflecting in your CAT preparation as well. So definitely, people who are thinking that because of their jobs you are not able to prepare well, please listen to Anushri over here. She has some pretty good points over here. Go through them carefully. You will be able to apply the same to your life as well. And she has been spending 4 hours traveling, so that would take a physical toll as well, but then she's proactively using that time. So let's get into the next question, Anushri. So how was it on the day of your PI? Were you nervous? Were you relaxed? How was it? Just take us through your experience that day. leading up to that day, how was it on the day while you're going to the interview? Because I've seen a lot of people, they are very good, they prepare well, but somehow on the day of the interview, they feel nervous and then they don't put out their best. So how was it for you? Just please take us through your experience.
Yeah, so I was good at communication and public speaking in college. I developed through it. I was not a natural born speaker, but I developed through it. So anybody who is in their college life or has time to develop oratory skills, please do that, because it's always useful in life ahead. So I knew that I was confident with speaking, but only if you have content in your speech will people love to hear you. So if you don't speak quality, then people will not give much importance to your confidence or how you speak. So I realized that if I build up on the quality of my speech, if I have proper content, I have proper answers to questions about general knowledge, current affairs, or anything particular, only then will I have the confidence, and only then will I get the vibe of having a good interview, which is important to further boost your confidence. So I think that I prepared a lot on technicals. Like I studied a little bit of finance. I revised it because I'm a chartered accountant. So I need to know about at least CA topics, at least the basics you need to know. You can't afford to not know about your own background. So I prepared that. So once the content was done, I thought that let's take a lot of mock interviews. So literally any person I used to meet, I used to tell them, just ask me random questions, and only then I'll understand where I'm lacking. So I remember even my boss, like during lunch breaks, I used to tell him that please take a mock interview. He was an MBA. So I used to tell him that please take a mock interview and ask me random questions. So I used to get the feel and the vibe of how different people can ask questions. So I remember I took about 25 mock interviews before my IIM Ahmedabad interview.
Oh my
So
God.
I had gained that confidence. So thanks to all the mentors at my coaching institutes, thanks to all the people who took mock interviews for me. And that's how you understand actually where do you lack. So while you take mock tests for preparing for CAT, you should take mock interviews before your real interview. Then coming to IIM Ahmedabad interview specifically, I was lucky that we had a group of 7 people who were going to be interviewed by 2. One of them was the professor, one of them, the other one was an alumni. So I was the first, and I was extremely happy because I like to be going first, because the interviewers are also in a mood to listen to you. And that is what exactly happened. I had a 50-minute long interview. And I was the only chartered accountant in that entire panel, which was another upper hand for me. But as you say, interviews cannot be predicted, and they can go as random as you have not imagined them to. And mine did go a little difficult in the beginning, because they asked me questions about topics that I had not practically worked in. They also asked me to solve a numerical example on GST, which I was not very acquainted with. But I tried. I couldn't succeed. I couldn't solve that numerical, but I kept my confidence. So while I say that content is important, your confidence and your presence of mind is also very important. So that is how I had prepared for interviews, if you ask me. Do you want to know about how the interview went as well?
Yeah, please share it as well. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe a few points.
Yeah, so it was very exhaustive and it was very comprehensive. They touched upon work experience first. They then went on to some technical questions on GST and finance, which I couldn't properly answer. I tried my best, but I couldn't. Then they went on to a few general awareness questions, mostly about what are my opinions on the current situation. They asked me about CAA protests. They asked me about the Mumbai Metro case. Also on what I felt about the Sabrimala issue. So all this I had prepared. So when the time came that the questions were on what I knew, I could speak. I couldn't. I did not let the bad questions affect my confidence in those questions. So that is what I mean. Whenever there is a chance, do speak. And if you don't know, just honestly tell that you don't know the answer, because they will respect that better. Then they moved on to extracurricular questions, which also I was waiting for. I'm a certified graphologist and signature analyst, so they asked me to analyze their handwriting on the spot. So that was something that was my strength. So then at that moment I continuously spoke for 7 minutes, and I think that was the turning point in my interview. After that also they asked me a few questions which I couldn't answer properly on public policy and government notifications. But all in all, it was a difficult interview with difficult questions, but a few points wherein I could place my opinions very well. So that was it about Ahmedabad interview. And other interviews were also on similar lines. So they cover everything in interviews. They don't leave anything. They want to check every aspect of your understanding.
I mean, that's you brought in very good points, Anishri. I think you were saying that even though the real interview might be unpredictable, preparing it would give you the confidence, at least on the
True.
topics that you know, on the areas. For example, if you're a CA, the questions related to there, obviously you have to prepare them. If you're an engineer, the questions coming out from there, you have to prepare. So never neglect the preparation, even if you're getting a very high percentile. That
Yeah,
because
yeah.
there are a lot of people who have got a high percentile, who have even scored 99.8 plus, but still could not convert the top IIMs.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, on the day of your interview has a lot of weightage in your final selection score. CAT, I think, hardly has 30 or even less than that, I
20,
think, in
yeah,
the
20 to
yeah,
30%.
yeah, that
Yeah,
would be there. So it's only like an entry point for you to the interview, but not an entry to the IIMs. So make sure
absolutely.
you're preparing. And she mentioned very good point that there are a few people who are starting beforehand itself. So if you're having time, it's always better to start early. And Anushri, I was going through your blog and it was very interesting. You are writing on a wide variety of topics. You are writing about movies, you are writing about some of your interests, and then you're also writing about academics, I think, how to prepare for CAT and all. So
True.
when did this interest start? And I definitely can say that this would have definitely helped in your WAT to a very large extent. So please
Absolutely.
take us through your blogging experience and how did it help you in your journey to the IIM?
So blogging for me was born out of very random interest for writing. It was surprising because I am not a reader. I don't like reading. So somebody who does not like reading, it's surprising if that person can write. But I enjoyed writing, so I started it about 5 years back in 2015 while I was doing my CA articleship. That time I randomly wrote about movie reviews, some abstract topics like a letter to my future child, or something that I used to enjoy writing. But then as my CAT happened and as interviews happened, I realized that a lot of people don't know or stay in cities where there is not much information about how to prepare for competitive exams, be it CA or CAT or GMAT, or just about how to increase productivity in studies. So I thought if I had the opportunity, I should write my best to these people who want access to information. So I started writing on this, and I realized that people are in need to understand this, which is why my blogs moved from about 4K views to now they are on 16K. So 4 times the number of views in a month. So I also understood that, as you said, that it definitely helps in VAT, which is the writing ability test for all major IIMs, because once you write, you become clear in your thoughts, and your ability to express yourself, the ability to elaborate on topics, becomes definitely better. It also helps in building your spoken English, which definitely helps in an interview. And also because be it anything, like for me writing was like a passion, like something I used to do when I used to get bored of studying, or when I used to be stressed. So whatever it is, do that, because be it sports or dance or singing, whatever are your hobbies, do pursue it with all your heart, not thinking of whether it will come be useful to you future in life or not, just because you enjoy it, because once you enjoy it, it will definitely come out in your personality. So in one of my interviews, I had actually mentioned my blog in one of my statement of purpose, which is the SOP, which we submit beforehand during the application process. So I realized the interviewers had already read my blogs, and then they started questioning me on my blogs. And I could justify them because I wrote it from all my heart. So if you do something with full conviction, then you will definitely be able to answer things about that. So if you're pursuing your extracurricular activities, do that, because it will help you ahead in life. And writing specifically helped me because I could be able to express myself better. And it definitely helps. I have heard from a lot of seniors that it definitely helps in MBA as well, because we have subjects wherein we have to write a lot. Creative writing in itself, I think, so Ajay, you know that there is a subject, right? So
Correct, correct.
I am hoping that it will be useful to me ahead as
No,
well.
definitely it's going to be useful. And I think you have mentioned a very important point that writing helps us to think clearly, and especially you're going to be a manager in the future. And See, I mean, thinking clearly is definitely going to help in your career going forward. Definitely that. So I think you complemented it very well. Please continue blogging. Please keep sharing your views with us. One of your blog, I had the opportunity to go through one of your writings. It was about talking to strangers and the importance. And I've seen some TED talks on it as well. I think that was very good. So I just want to share. I just want you to share your thoughts on talking to strangers. And I think because of your inclination towards talking to strangers, you were able to have 25 mock interviews, I guess, because having 25 mock interviews just through the people we know would be difficult. And having mock interviews, like you told, is like very important. So just share some light on how did that start, and how did you believe that strangers are just someone like us and we can approach them just like a friend or a family?
Yeah, so actually, it did not come very easy to me. I was an introvert, a complete introvert in school. Of course, I used to gel with my friends and family, but I wasn't a public speaker as such. But it is during my college time when I realized that it is extremely important for you to be able to communicate effectively also to a crowd, because uh, it develops your personality, and it will come useful wherever you go in life. So I actually developed it through college life. And in college, when we move out of a school environment, you have to meet a lot of people. So traveling to college, sorry, gave me an opportunity to meet a lot of new people. So first strangers were college friends who were like, I didn't know them, and then they became friends. So that developed, and slowly I enjoyed public speaking so much so that I started to talk to everybody. So be it somebody sitting beside me in the bus or in the train. So I like doing that. That is something that I started liking after I started pursuing it. So even if it does not come naturally to you, so a lot of people say that I'm an introvert, how do you expect me to do public speaking? I don't think that should be a roadblock. So even if you are an introvert, you should be able to communicate effectively and convey at least your point to the opposite person. So, and why I mentioned that blog, why I wrote it in my blog, is because I think talking to strangers gives you a different perspective, because they don't know anything about you, right? So they will not judge you for who you are. They will give you frank opinions. They will also try to give you perspectives which are not tainted or not biased on anything. So that helped me. Of course, you have to be a little careful while talking to strangers, but it definitely helps. Like if you're in a safe environment, and if you're in a conference, in a formal or an casual conference, do make it a point to talk to people, because it gives happiness, point one, and it gives insights that you might not have received before from your family or friends. So some random people have told me amazing things. And like suppose the graphology course, nobody in my family or friends knew about the graphology course, but I spoke to a person who had done that course, and I found that it was amazing. So I did that course, and after that course I again was a little more open. That course also changed a few things in me. College life definitely changes a lot in people. And in general, it always works in a corporate also. When you're working, it's important to talk to people if you want to learn. So not just for your own happiness, or not just to share your own opinions, even to learn, you need to talk to strangers, to need to learn about different variety of things. So I think that's what I wanted to say in that blog.
Yeah, I think even this applies to people who are right now in their first corporate experience, who are doing their internships right after MBA. I
Hmm.
mean, unfortunately, many of you might be having only online internships, but then if you're doing your internships, definitely make it a point to talk to the people who feel as strangers in your own organization, because you learn a lot of things, you'll get to know them, you'll know your company better, and it will open up a lot of opportunities. That's one of the other advantages it has. So Anushri, thanks for that blog, and thanks for sharing your idea behind this particular thing. So Anushri, what would your advice be to someone who is right now preparing for CAT 2020? Or what would your advice be? And what do you think some of the, even though you might have got selected, there when you look back, definitely there will be a few things where you felt you might have done a bit better. So
Hmm.
what would your advice be thinking from that perspective?
Okay, so people who are starting out now or just into preparation for CAT 2020, first thing would be take a mock test and see where you stand. because only when you take a mock test and see where you stand, you'll understand what things are, or what sections or what topics are the part where you need to work the most. So I realized when I took a mock test in the month of, I think, April, I understood that my maths was horrible. I had a single digit score in quant section. So I realized that I had to devote a lot of time to the quant section, and as opposed to my belief that I thought maybe the verbal section will be difficult for me because I'm a slow reader, because I don't read books. But surprisingly, it was my strength. I scored the maximum in the verbal section as compared to quants maths, which I thought was something that I was interested in. So don't judge yourself based on your interests or based on what you think. Take a mock test in a real exam environment. Put a 3 hours timer. There are a lot of websites which offer free mock tests also. You can take those and see where you stand. That will be the first starting point, which I'd suggest. Then work on the topics. Either solve a lot of sectional tests, or solve a lot of sums for DILR and quants, and start reading. If you are good at reading books, start reading books. In my case, I used to solve about 5 to 6 RCs every day, because I used to find it difficult to read books. So I thought the main catch in solving RCs, reading comprehension, is to understand the passage and answer effectively. So it's not just important to read fast, it's important that you understand what you read. And so I practiced a lot of RC passages, which helped me in verbal section. For quant section, I had a difficult time improving on it. I derived a strategy wherein I concentrated on the basics, like basic mental maths. I wrote tables, I wrote squares, cubes, prime numbers, square roots. I worked on my mental math so that I could solve calculations faster. So once you're done with all these groundwork, try a lot of these strategies in exam and find out your own strategy. By strategy, what I mean is, for example, in quants, in the math section, a lot of people have this strategy wherein they try to attempt a lot of questions rampantly. Like they'll attempt all 34 questions, or maybe 30 out of 34 questions, and they are often right as well. But this strategy can differ from person to person. So I tried attempting a lot of questions. Even if I was not like more than 50% sure of the answer, I used to do guesswork, but it did not work in my favor. So after a lot of trial and error, after taking about like 35, 40 mock tests, I realized that I should boil down to a strategy wherein I attempt the bare minimum questions for the quant section. I attempt about 20 to 25, but I attempt them correctly. So my accuracy should be high. So I found out this only after a lot of practice. So you need to practice all this and then find a solid strategy for your CAT day. So even before you enter the hall, or even one day before, you should have a mental preparation about how you're going to go about every section. But at the same time, when you're attempting the 3-hour exam, don't be extremely rigid with your strategy. So for to explain that, in my DILR section, there were questions on DI, which is data interpretation, and LR, which is logical reasoning. So I had prepared a strategy that I will go about with LR questions first, because that was my strength. But in the exam, DI sums were easier than the LR sums. So I had to apply my presence of mind, which is extremely important, and amend my strategy on the day of the CAT. And that is important because CAT can be a surprise. You can expect anything and everything from it. So don't be very rigid also, but have a plan in your mind. Amend it and modify it as per your requirements during the CAT exam. And I think just maintain your calm. That is extremely important.
Thanks, Anushri. Thanks for sharing those tips. And one more thing, Anushri. So, when I was interacting with undergrad students, especially who are in their final year or pre-final year, they are having this inclination towards CAT. But then I've seen many of them, it would definitely take them time to improve upon their communication skills. So these people, even though they will be able to crack CAT through hard work, the 1 month or 2 months time after the CAT results are out would not be sufficient for them to give a good VAT in PI. So what would your advice be? Let's say if someone, he or she is having 1 year in front of him or her, how should they plan out their 1 year so that they'll be able to give CAT? I mean, CAT, you have already shared the tips. What would your advice be so that they'll be able to give a very good VAT and PI?
Okay, so I'll just amend your question a little bit. Let's just start from after you finish 10th standard. If
Correct.
you, if even for parents, if they want to make their children MBAs or they want them to go into managerial positions, then start preparing for your entire personality right from college. I did not do
True.
it on purpose. I did not have anybody to tell me that. But now when I look back to it, I feel everything fell in the right
Fell in
place.
the place, right place. Correct.
So I
And
was lucky.
yeah. I mean,
Was
not necessarily you were lucky, but then if you actually frankly see it, maybe there will be some people who actually know that they are going to be in that path, but then don't end up starting, I mean, start working on these things. For example, you are blogging, you are also writing. So all these things definitely they help you out, which you are doing out of passion. So similarly, if other students start out early, they'll be in a better position.
correct. So not just for the sake of CV points, but just
Correct.
for your own personal grooming. You definitely have to take part in all extracurricular activities, whatever suits you the best. Be it dance, sports, as I said, anything that you like, do it passionately, do it with a lot of conviction, and believe that you can do well in that. uh, and also, a lot of people might say that 10th and 12th marks are not important. That's not true. If you want to do an MBA from India, it's definitely true. So don't neglect your academics at any point of time. I am glad that during CA I did not neglect my BCom academic score. So I did well in that. I gained a decent 80 plus percentage, which definitely helps later as well. So you have to try managing your extracurriculars and academics right from the beginning. That is step one. Because even ahead in life, you have to manage your personal and professional life. So why not start early? So do that while doing your college life. And if you are about 1 year or 2 years before CAT, you're planning on taking CAT once you're serious about an MBA. I think the same rule applies, that you have to maintain all your activities. If you are in a position to take up a job, because working definitely opens up new avenues. You understand what you like, what you are good at better. So working in a corporate also helped me. So I had an option to just take a 6 months gap and just prepare, or take up a job and do it simultaneously. It might seem a little strenuous in the beginning, but in the end it all helps you only to develop. So if you have time, do uh, a good do develop a good time management strategy for yourself. See how you can make your day productive. Does not definitely mean that you have to cut out on parties or picnics. Do all of that, but whatever you do, have a proper demarcation of where you want to reach and how you want to reach it. So I think a proper plan definitely helps. I definitely had a plan that I want to take up MBA after CA. So that was my plan. So that helped. But even if you can chalk out how you want to take ahead your hobbies, or do you want to pursue them professionally, then do take it up. I currently in my batch, there are people from different fields. There are models, there are cricketers, there are rappers. So definitely all of them have done a lot of things in their life. So I think time management, multitasking are things that you have to carve out for yourself.
Thanks, Anushri. I think what Anushri was saying is just not applicable to MBA aspirants. Whatever if you want to do in life, or whatever Anushri is saying is definitely applicable. So, Anushri, thank you for coming onto our platform. Thank you for sharing your valuable views. You have shared some pretty good insights, and I think definitely these will be helpful to the not just to the MBA aspirants, but also to the people who are trying to do better in their careers. Thank you, Anushri, and all the best to you from our end.
Thank you, Ajay. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.